There we go. I think we got it going on now. I gotta get rid of some of this stuff on the screen. Alrighty. How's it going, guys? Everyone had a good start to the week? Pastor Mike, how's it going? Yeah, snowy day. I got some freezing rain. Woke up some freezing rain. It sure was pretty on the trees this morning. Looks like we got more snow on the way. I was really hoping we were over that. I knew we wouldn't be though. I mean, it's just mid-February, but one can hope. Hey Timmy, Peabody's apiary. And it looks like everyone's getting some snow, huh? Plus you're a little further south. I know mine at about, I don't know, probably about 12:30, 1 o'clock today, it switched over from light freezing rain down to just plain rain. Sawmill Charlie, how's it going, man? So is everyone done getting their equipment prepared? I know I've been real busy out there in the shed trying to get, all my boxes built and painted, frames done. Hey Troy, what's up, dude? I've got 50 deeps painted and ready to go. Full of frames. I'm still waiting on some deep frames from Acorn. I don't know what's going on with them guys. I ordered 2 cases of 52 on, well, let me just see. February the 4th, and they just now shipped today, so they must be really lagging behind. Probably still trying to catch up from the expo. I'd say everybody is. There was so much equipment that got shipped into that place and shipped back out. Are you getting snow too? Yeah. Alright. Yeah. Now I think I can see everything on the screen. Yeah, heck, I've just been out there in the shed getting everything done I can get done. Uh, Pretty much just waiting on some springtime weather. I'm missing it. You got 2 cases of frames, yeah. Been cleaning up stuff and painting, yep. Working on ordering some boxes. Yeah, we're keeping the postal service and the UPS wide open. I know my UPS guys pretty much pays me a visit once a week anymore, seems like. Usually about twice a month he'll give me a call and tell me he's about to pull up and he's wanting a bottle of honey. I've had to turn him away for the honey. I'm completely sold out right now. I've got 2 bottles of honey left in the house, and I keep it for Mia, my little 4-year-old. She's crazy about that stuff. Charlie, I open fed some liquid syrup the other day. Well, it was those 2 or 3 days that we had here that was in the 60s, and then it got, I think, almost to 70 one day. I mixed up a bunch of 2-to-1. I fed for 2 days straight. It was like 12 or 14 gallons I fed them of 2-to-1. I've got a few colonies that are getting pretty light, and now we've got like a week of cold weather on the way, so I'm a little bit worried about them having enough food to get through that. I haven't put on any pollen patties. I never really have a problem with them getting pollen. I know later on in the year, instead of my colonies getting honey bound, they get pollen bound, and it is a headache to deal with. Yeah, I had, Charlie, I had bricks, and I done some hives in mountain camp method, feeding that dry sugar, but I ran out of bricks, and I didn't have time to make any. That's the only reason I open fed them. Yeah, I open fed a little pollen too. They were going crazy over that stuff. I used a AP23. Comes in the big black bag. I think I got it from Dadent. I know a lot of people swear by Ultra Bee, but I've been using AP23 and I've not had any kind of problem out of it. They go after it. Yeah, building the hives up. I don't want to get with our weather here, man. It's so crazy and out of control. Last year, I fed the heck out of them, real early spring, and then by the time the weather straightened out where I could graft, whenever I started inspecting my colonies, they already had been prepping for swarming. I had to split with swarm cells. I didn't have time to graft. That kind of put a big dent in my plan last year. You never know with them bees, man. You have to try to stay ahead of them, but I wouldn't have thought that they would have been making swarm cells. Everything here hit early last year. Some dry pollen from Tractor Supply. Huh. I didn't know Tractor Supply, do they sell beekeeping equipment? Circle T Barnes, good evening to you. Are you wading through the snow like half the rest of us are? Limited on items. Okay, yeah, I may have to swing in there sometime just to see what all they have. Okay. Rain and lots of it. Yeah, we're supposed to get, shoot, they're calling after this little cold spell. They don't know next week whether we're going to get the biggest dumping of snow we've had this winter or if it's going to be rain. They're saying it could possibly be like 6 inches of rain. So if that's snow, it's going to get wild. Three cases bottled and 1.5 gallons on the side. Yeah, I think I seen you getting some of that stuff bottled, Troy. Yeah, Timmy, I like dating stuff. Especially their smokers. I believe they've got the best smoker on the market. I don't think you can beat a Dayton. I mean, you can just tell the quality when you pick one of them things up and squeeze the bellows. The very first smoker I ever bought came in some kind of a cheap, hive kit, and it was Chinese, and it took forever to get the thing lit, and you're sitting there pumping the bellows, and you can hear that leather or whatever that stuff is made out of on that thing just popping and cracking. I couldn't stand that thing. I got rid of that smoker and got me a Dayton. And I got a Man Lake that I keep in my storage box over at my other yard. That way it's one less thing I can forget about whenever I'm going between yards. Three cases this winter. Heck yeah, man. I know you get a big shot of clover honey, Troy. What's your other main ingredient over there? Well, you got goldenrod. What's your fall honey mainly consist of? Yeah, for sure, Timmy. It's night and day difference between a cheap smoker and a good Dayton smoker. I've got the taller one. I think it's what is it, a 10 inch or something? 8 inch smoker. I use pine needles in mine, and you get that little bit of a fire lit and pack that sucker tight. That thing will smoke for hours. Goldenrod, yeah. Pop the lid off that hive, you know it's goldenrod. You smell them sweaty gym socks coming out of there. That's what it smells to me like. It don't taste like that, thank goodness, but that's what it smells like. I never understood how it could smell so terrible but taste so good. So have you guys, have you seen all this talk about this major hive loss that these commercial beekeepers are getting. I've been trying to read up on that, and I guess it's kind of similar to what happened back in 2008, which I didn't know about because I've only been keeping bees going on my 4th year now. And the more I read into it, the worse it sounds. And I guess this time is worse than it was in '08. Have you guys read up on all that stuff? Yeah, I watched his video on that too. Then Rob, he posted a video. Yeah, JC, yeah, he mentioned it too. After I started, that's what made me dig into it. As soon as I seen Jason Christman's video, and then I seen David's video, I thought, man, I need to look up some bee history and see what's going on. Yeah, that's crazy. $139 million of loss. And that was as of, what, a week ago? Or this past weekend? You don't think it's that bad, Troy? I seen somebody on Facebook, and one of the groups I'm in, they were talking about that they have lost 80% of their entire outfit. That's scary. That's like close your doors and quit beekeeping type of loss. Because I think he was like a real high up on the sideline / commercial beekeeper. Hey Joe. Hives packed with bees, 7 frames full. Worried will starve. Joe, have you put any kind of emergency food on the top of your colony? Sugar bricks, or you could always do the mountain camp. Just pop that lid off, put your newspaper down, and pour that sugar right on top. You can always spritz it, get a little spray bottle of water and just put a little mist on top of that sugar and close it back up. Yeah, mine are too, Charlie. As of right now, I've still got all 54. My colonies are still alive. The only ones I'm worried about is like 3 of my big 10 frame double deeps. They're really light on food stores, and then now this cold weather coming back, I've got 2 5 frame nukes that are out there overwintering. They're the only ones I'm worried about, which they're all still kicking so far. They say numbers are extremely low. There isn't a true way to count the bees. No one's ever asked me or you if we had bees and how many we have. No, they haven't, honestly. I've thought about registering my yard, but I've never done it. somebody was telling me that the main reason that people register their apiaries is because of spraying, and nothing around here gets sprayed. Now the farmer that takes care of all this land around me, he sprays fungicide, but I've talked to him. We get along good. I've known that guy for a long time. He only sprays that stuff after dark. He don't spray during the day. That gives them plants enough time to soak that stuff in while the bees aren't on it, bringing it back into the hive. Yeah, see, that's JW. I was thinking about how, like, most of that big issues that they're having is mainly commercial beekeepers. You know, that stuff, it gets what they're pollinating, the almonds and the melons and all that different stuff. The more I read about that, the more I want to stay away from pollination. It just seems like the bees don't come out very healthy. That's understandable, Peabody. Yeah, if you're producing nukes that need to be moved across the state line, then sometimes you have to give in. I mean, we give the government enough money as it is, but sometimes you may have to do it. I'll tell you what I think is, which, you know, who knows what it is. This is just my personal opinion on that whole major hive loss situation. But you know how they tell you about all this junk getting built up in your combs. You know, some people, they've got combs 7, 8, 9 years old. I think if you're pollinating, you're in an area that's getting all that junk sprayed over top of everything. I think that's probably, in my opinion, the biggest problem. I think these commercial guys that's out there among all that junk getting sprayed, if they would change their combs out maybe every 3, 4, 5 years instead of 8, 9, and 10 years, I think their bees would be a lot healthier. Yeah, it sucks getting rid of drawn comb. That stuff that's like gold locked up in Fort Knox. Drawn combs is the best thing that a beekeeper can keep safe and salvage when he can. That's why I was working so hard in the fall to keep my honey supers, all them medium and shallow frames protected. Stinking wax moss was in there just trying to get in on my gold. I gotta save my gold nuggets and keep them away from it. Thankfully, it's all pretty much still looking good. Now I've kept the ice crystals on there, and I've got like 10 totes full of drawn out honey super frames in my spare bedroom. I keep that stuff in the tote in the house, and what I couldn't fit in totes I keep out there in my building with them ice crystals on it. Yeah, Mike, that's where I had a lot of my stuff. I've just got a small chest freezer, so I would stick my frames in there and freeze in dudes for like 2 to 3 days. Then I would take them out of the freezer and store them in a tote. I just make sure that there's no way that something could get under the lids. Some totes, when you grab them by the handles, you can feel little holes up in there. I just tape them holes up and kind of make it, I wouldn't say airtight, but I'd make it where nothing could crawl up in there and start laying eggs. That's the last thing I want. Troy, have you seen the update to the Kentucky House bill that they had introduced? I seen an update on that today. Any of you Kentucky guys familiar with it? It's a House bill about having to have a certified honey house. I'd say for about 30% capped honey frames. So they're, from what I read, Troy, they're gonna go ahead and try to move forward. Yeah, they were gonna try to have it as like a no limit, apparently, and I guess whoever's going to bring it up in front of the House, I forget who it was, they're going to push it to the 500-gallon mark. Okay, Mike, so the bill, I forget the KRS numbers and all that, but I'm sure you've read or you know of the bill that requires a honey producer to have a commercial kitchen or certified honey house to bottle and process honey after you produce more than 150 gallons. So now they're raising that 150 up to 500 gallons. That really needs to pass, because I do not want to build it's a commercial kitchen, basically is what it is. I don't want to drop a bunch of money to build that, because after this year I'll have to have it if that don't pass. Yeah, Troy, I think it will too. Fingers crossed it does, that's for sure. It'll be a whole lot better for everyone that's kind of approaching the sideliner beekeeper status. Uh, it'll be so much better for all them guys. Cause I sure don't want to drop $8,000 or $10,000 on another building. Have to put plumbing in it and get all stainless steel sinks and tables and all that stuff just to bottle honey. I think what was it, Troy, that it said it's only Kentucky, Tennessee, and South Carolina that has like the toughest regulations on that. Kentucky always seems to be lagging behind on a lot of things like that. I just think our state representatives are lazy. We have kind of a terrible government in this state. But I don't want to get on politics. That's the last thing I even want to talk about right now. Heck, you can't even open up Facebook without seeing all that stuff. Yeah, Mike, I know. Yeah, I think it will, Troy. I think it'll go through. Oh, okay. I'm picking up what you're putting down, Peabody. Not to exceed 25,000. Man, you got the best priced honey on the planet. Yeah, Mike, I agree. Beekeeping definitely is a hobby that you need to have a little spare cash in your pocket. Especially if you're one of those that buys into the next greatest thing and you're buying all the new products and getting this and that. The only thing, I wouldn't say I got suckered for sure, because it's an amazing product, but the only thing that I have ever seen that I just instantly bought was that InstaVat vaporizer. And thank goodness I did, because I can't imagine how bad it would suck trying to treat 54 colonies in a day with one of those old 12 volt wand type little pan, had the pan there at the end of the wand to try to vaporize a hive with. That Larabi's InstaVat, man, it's a game changer. Of course, now there's tons of copycats of it, but that guy, he deserves some kind of a medal for coming up with that thing. Wait till all these state governments find out how many local beekeepers there are. The next push will be taxes. It's the main reason I don't register my bees. I can't disagree with that. They try to tax every little thing people do. I mean, you can't buy anything without getting taxed on it. JW, yeah. Yeah, man, you can knock them hives out quick with that thing. $54 hives in less than an hour and a half, yeah. I've got my bees in 3 different yards, so I was having to drive between them, or I'd been able to do it that fast. I'm going to do a little bit of different managing this year. I'm not sure exactly how I want to go about it, but I think I'm going to try to push a lot of my colonies to managing single deeps. Hey Matt, how's it going, man? Best time to do a split in Kentucky weather? Well, who knows what Kentucky weather is going to do. I like to do it late March, once that red maple pollen starts coming out. If I've got hives that have overwintered and they're strong, the main thing that I look for is if I see these colonies making drones, then that's when I start trying to plan to make splits. You want to try to be sure that you've got drones out flying before you make splits to get them queens mated. You don't want too much time between your queen emerging and the drones maturing enough to mate with that queen. Yeah. Troy hit the nail on the head for me. End of March, beginning of April's. That's when I tried. That's what I aim for. This year I'm gonna be grafting, whether this weather allows me to or not. I'm not gonna wait like I did last year and let them hives start prepping the swarm. If I have to, I'll throw 2 or 3 extra shakes of bees in there on those queen cells. I definitely want to graft this time. Red Maple's trying to open here about 30 miles south of St. Louis. As soon as it warms a bit, we're off and running in 2 weeks, hopefully. Aim to split April 1st, mated queens. I seen someone posted on Facebook the other day. I know Jason Chrisman, he had posted a picture of some of his red maples that were starting to bud out, and them suckers had ice on them. That's what I'm kind of afraid of, because we've got some cold weather coming, and I'm scared to death that ice is going to get some of our maples this year. What type of cell starter do you use? Charlie, I use a starter finisher, a queenless starter finisher. I just take a 5-frame nuke box and I'll put in usually just a bare foundation. Then I put in a frame of honey. Then I put in 3 frames of brood that's emerging. One of the frames, I want it to have eggs on it. And then I'll usually put in like 2 or 3 shakes of bees on top of that. So in like 2 to 3 days, I'll open that nuke up, and any queen cells that they've tried to start on those eggs, then I'll just take my hive tool and I'll smash all those cells that they've tried to make. 'Cause I want them like in the mood to really build queens, because with all them eggs, they're starting to pump out that royal jelly. So I'll smash all them, and I'll stick that frame back in there. I'll check my honey frame to make sure that there's still plenty of food on it. And then that same day I'll go ahead and graft. And then I'll stick my graft frame in there in the place of the one that was bare foundation. They've usually started, just a real thin piece of comb on that. So I'll just take it out, get it out of the way, and then I'll let them roll with that. If my honey frame has got a little bit of pollen on it, like a pollen to honey ratio. If it's just a little bit, then I'll go ahead and give them a patty on top of all that, just so I know that they've got plenty of protein in there. With all them bees, I have which all my nukes, if it's not a jester nuke, it's just a plywood nuke box that I've built. I built a little inner cover basically for that. Then I'll put a feeder on top of that, and then I'll set a regular 5-frame size nuke box over it just to conceal the feeder. So I want all those nurse bees getting like top-notch nutrition. I want them to have plenty of pollen, plenty of syrup. That way they can really go to town on pulling them queen cells out and keeping that larva fed. I probably overdo it doing it that way, but I have good results. Unless I screw up a larva when I'm grafting. I can't say I don't do that. It's easy to accidentally crush one of those little guys with a grafting tool. I've got a different one this year I'm going to try. I've always used the Chinese grafting tool. This year, who was it? Laps Bee Supply. They had a bunch of stuff on sale, and I bought all kinds of little things for dirt cheap. I bought a stainless steel grafting tool for like $1.50. I bought some hive tools for $2 or $3 a piece. I keep an eye on all these places, get stuff on sale, because like you all were saying earlier, beekeeping is not a cheap hobby or sideline job to be doing. Thanks, Troy. Do my best with it. Did you messaged me the other day? Did that guy you were talking to, did he want a nuke? Did he make his mind up if he wanted to get his hands dirty in some bees this year? No, Charlie. After, my bad if I confused you on that. After 2 days, I'll pull that frame out and I crush all of the queen cells. After I crush all the cells, most of that other stuff is in the process of getting capped. I'll leave that frame in the box. The frame that I take out is the one that was bare foundation. You do need to keep in the back of your mind, though, that you need to check that frame 1 or 2 more times. They can make a rogue cell. There could be a young larva or 2 left over that they didn't make into emergency cells. I check every 2 days until all that stuff is capped. But they usually, once you're done with that, they've already started to pull wax on the bottom of those cups on your cell builder frame, your grafting frame, and then once all that other stuff is capped off, then you'll have nothing but big wads of bees on every cell, or every one that they take to. he's on the fence about it. You can't blame him. It's if he only knew how big of a decision that is to make. Go from somebody not ever keeping bees to wanting to get into it. There's a whole lot of learning that needs to go on. How many grafted cells? I would have to look at my frame. The last time I did it, I only had 2 full bars of cells. My frame has got room for 3 bars. I'm thinking it's maybe 30. I think I could do 30 queens at one time. I believe that's what it is. You always want to try to make more grafts than what you're going to need. 2 bars, 30 cells. You always want to try to make more grafts than what you need, because there's going to be some of them that just won't take. Either you damage the larva with your tool, or you sometimes the bees, they see something that you don't and they just won't draw that cell out. Hey Orlando. Yeah, I've still got some for sale. I would definitely tell you, no matter where you get your nukes, to start with 2 of them. Maybe I need to get me some internet out there in my bee shed. Be like David Burns. He's got all that stuff sitting right there next to him. He can just grab it and look and answer all kinds of questions. I'm pretty sure that it's real close to that though, Charlie. No, I don't sell queens. Might be something to think about. I pretty much only graft and make queens for my splits. Everyone's recommending, yeah. I mean, it's better to have the 2 starting out, because I mean, if something happens to one colony and maybe you smashed a queen by accident, who knows? Anything could happen, really. That's just one of those things in beekeeping. You hope for the best and prepare for the worst. But if you smash your queen and those bees fail to make a new queen, you can always pull brood, your eggs and larvae, pull a frame of that out of your other colony and stick in there if they were unable to get a queen started. If you didn't have that second colony, then you'd be on the phone trying to call somebody to get a mated queen, and then that's $35-40. And if those bees had went too long without a mated queen, the longer it goes, the worse it gets. You could get a laying worker in that colony, and then you're sticking a mated queen in there, and those bees, they just jump on that $40 queen you installed, and they ball her up and cook her to death, and then you wasted $40. You don't want to go through all that. I've already done it once. I ain't doing it no more. Yeah. For sure, man. They're expensive, and they can be kind of tough to get a hold of depending on where you're at. Yeah, I love David Burns' videos. He goes into, he's a certified master beekeeper. He goes into detail about every little thing. Let's see here. One second here, I'll type it out. Just put, whenever you email it, just put beek, B-E-E-K, in the subject line. That way I know it's not spam mail. I get so much stinking spam mail on a daily basis. It's like I'm constantly, hitting report spam. That crap just never stops. Yeah, man, not a problem. We'll get you hooked up with some bees. Charlie, you went quiet. Were you able to grasp what I was? Were you able to pick up what I was trying to set down on how I set up my cell builders? I've got a video on it. I might can maybe figure out how to throw it in the chat if I can find it. It's just, it's showing exactly how I set up my cell builder. Let me find it here. I'll throw it down there in the chat. Let's see, videos, winter setups. Nope. Should be right around here somewhere. Here it is. Okay. Share. Copy. There we go. There's a link for that queen rearing setup. Charlie, you still in here? Oh goodness. Have a good evening, Mike. It's after 8 o'clock already. Doesn't really feel that late. Troy, are you getting some more of those medium supers built? May have to make me a purchase for too long. I need to actually go through and count what I've got. I know I've got 15 brand new medium supers full of frames. But I need to go back and kind of get a count on what I've got. I'm going to try to run some single brood management colonies for honey production this year, and I want to have some extra mediums to stack on those. I'm going to let them. What town in Kentucky am I near? I'm about 28 miles south of Stanford, about the same north of Somerset. I'm out in the sticks. I'm in Casey County. going to get more. Yeah. You're going to need some of them supers this year. Troy, I'm telling you, you need to open up a beekeeping supply store. There's nowhere close that can get any of us in this area quality equipment. I tried to buy the cheap junk when I first started, and that stuff, it falls apart. The hive bodies warp, they get concaved and convexed, and they shrink and swell, and the joints break. If there was somebody down here that would open up a store, that would be an awesome business venture. For me to go anywhere to get what I'm just going to call, I guess, name brand quality supplies, I have to drive for about an hour and 40 minutes. I'd have to go all the way to Frankfurt. Dayton's is the closest supply store to us. This is one more head. Yeah, honey and bee connection. I think that's one in Moorhead. I've got some of their equipment. There's a hardware store in Lancaster, Garrett County, that carries the honey and bee connections equipment, and I've bought some stuff from them. It's a little pricier. It's not bad, but it's a little pricier. The quality is definitely worth it, though. It's good stuff. Orlando, you can buy unassembled beehives, and you don't need really any tools to put that stuff together. I mean, all you need is a hammer and some glue, some nails. I like to use a pneumatic stapler. I'll use the 1.25 by 1/4 narrow crown staples for my frames, and if I'm out of ring shank nails, then I use 1.5 by 1/4 inch narrow crown staples for the boxes. Yeah, Troy Hess right there. He started to sell some equipment. That's why you think I'm trying to talk him into opening up a store? See, we could all just funnel in there to Troy's place and buy us all the good quality equipment we could want. Yeah, I'm very close. That's my zip code is Waynesburg, JW. Yeah, man, they're they're fun to put together as long as it's a good quality. If you buy some junk unassembled hives, it's not so fun. Even with good equipment this year, I didn't have too much fun because I bought 50 deep boxes at one time, and I just got so tired of putting them things together I couldn't stand it any longer. I had to take about a 4 or 5 day break from it. Yeah, Troy's in Science Hill. He's just a couple miles north of Somerset. You used to come to Somerset regularly? Yep. Is that your old stomping grounds down there, Pulaski County, or did you work down there? Family, maybe? Yeah, Orlando. I've, I think I've bought products from about every supplier out there. I can tell you, I don't know where it's made. I know it's not a super popular bunch of equipment, but bee castle hives are extremely well cut. The joints, they're dovetail joints. It's made from cedar, and then things fit together like perfect. Oh, bird dogs. Okay. JW, do you know James Mills? I know he deals with a lot of dogs. He lives down there in Somerset. Oh boy, crappie fisherman. Now we're talking. Been beekeeping going in my third spring. Just now found this channel, Corbin. Well, I can't wait for the crappie to start running. My dad definitely can't. He practically lives on the lake. Bee Castle, yeah, it's if if Troy is too far from you, just starting out, I can recommend Bee Castle. Their equipment's real nice. Mike Branson, yeah, I'm not familiar with that name. Oh man, I'm out of sweet tea. Waiting on the weather. Yeah, I'll be uh, knee deep in the bees once the crappie start running. I sold my boat a couple years ago, so now I have to yell at a buddy or jump in the boat with Dad if I want to go now. I like hitting up Green River the best. It's my favorite lake. But we've been known to pull some slabs out of Cumberland. I like Dale Hollow Lake, but it's a heck of a drive for me. So I just stay closer to home. Snowing again. Is it really? Let me take a look at that map, see what we got going on. It is, my map showing it's 39 degrees here. Most of the rain looks like we're going to get some scattered showers tonight, and then I won't see snow until Sunday. That's according to this app, but who in the world knows? They all say something different. I just kind of read this one and keep my fingers crossed it's close to being right. Gentlemen, if you don't mind, give me one moment. I'm gonna grab some more tea. I gotta keep my whistle wet. Give me 1 second. There we go. Take it easy, JW. Thanks for hopping in. Will do, man. Oh man, I'm gonna have a lot of work ahead of me this spring. Yeah, Orlando, they're doing as good as I can expect them to if this crazy weather we get. They're looking good, looking healthy. I wish they would quit eating through their stores so fast. That's really the only thing that's got me worried. That's why I went ahead and open fed that 12, 14 gallons worth of 2-to-1 syrup. Just trying to let them all kind of take in a little bit more weight. I didn't feed the ones over on Black Ridge though. They're all still super heavy. Plus, where I don't visit that yard as often as I am here, I put 2 bricks of sugar in the top there instead of 1 like I did here. So I know the last time I was there, they still had ton of sugar brick left. I'm not worried about those bees at all over there. I've got my yard over there set up now. I've got all the stands set up, and I'm gonna add, there's 11 there now. Then I'll split them, and then when I split here, I'll be transporting some of these splits over there. I want to get that yard populated. I'm afraid I'm getting too many bees here on my property, so I need to kind of split them off a little bit. I may end up having to hunt for another yard this year. Yeah, we're not out of the cold spells yet. I think we're gonna, of course, that stupid groundhog, I guess, seen its shadow and screwed it all up. But we still got a little cold left. Yeah, it's a good thing I don't live in that town. I'd probably skin that dude out and eat it. There's one thing I can't stand, it's cold weather. I just cannot handle it anymore. I mean, working, I'm used to being out in it for the most part, but when it gets in the teens and below, I freeze to death. .400 acres in Eubank. His last name wouldn't be Ruckle, would it, Troy? I've got several guys around here wanting me to put bees on their property, but I need to get away from the perimeter of my property. I need to get a minimum of 5 miles away from it. Split last year, they were doing well all summer. One day in August, after my treatments, they had cleaned out the hive and left not a bee in sight. Dang. So your bees, for some reason, absconded. Did you, crappie fishermen, were you testing for mites? Like what was your mite counts? And what did you treat with? So I know a lot of people were having issues with some of these treatments. I mean, you could test, you might get 5 mites in your test, and then you treat like you always did, thinking it's going to knock those mites down, when really it didn't really affect them at all. Orlando, I kind of want to go 5 miles away because uh, the distance that the bees travel to forage. I don't want bees from two different yards visiting the same. These bees may travel west, and if these bees are over here and they travel, you know, northwest and past this other yard, or I don't want bees from two different yards visiting the same area that they forage. It's a half mile off of 27. Okay. Hey, Rodney. Maintained and treated with Apicard. Yeah, I treat with OA and Apicard. I don't use Apistan or Formic or any of that other stuff. There had to be a reason to make them abscond like that. Uh, it's usually mites can run them out of your hives, or if you've got a pest, skunks, possums that are constantly tormenting your bees, then that can make them abscond as well. Close to the flashing lights in Waynesburg. I got you, Troy. We'll talk about it. My main goal is to get Black Ridge populated. I'm gonna add 20 colonies over there for sure. I've got all the hive stands and all that stuff set up already. I'll need a new location 100% next year. But I'll be kind of cutting that fine line this year on needing one. I think I'll be okay this year. You've seen 30 to 35% losses so far, really? Yep, that's another one. Hive beetles. Them suckers can get in there, and if it's overrun with hive beetles, that'll make them jet and abscond out of your colony or your hives as well. I don't hardly have issues with hive beetles. I bet in all of my colonies, I probably didn't see a total of 100 beetles all year long this year. My hives pretty much stay in full sunlight until real late in the evening. That sun gets past those trees and is on its way to setting. That's when my colonies start getting the shade. That direct sunlight will help a lot. And I also keep like the gardening, that matte black crap or weeds, that you put in flower beds or whatever. Put that under your hive stand, or black plastic, something to keep the weeds and stuff from growing. Those beetle larvae, they'll crawl right off your landing board and go down in that dirt and burrow down in there and start reproducing. Yeah, we were talking about that earlier, crappie fishermen. I'd seen talks of like it's probably up to 135 or $40 million worth of colony loss this year. It's crazy. GrubX. GrubX works well under the hives control hive beetles. I've never tried that stuff, but I've heard some people talking about it. Rodney? Rodney, have you looked in any of those dead outs? 30 to 35%. That's that's a good hit. But have you actually pulled those frames out and kind of just dug in there and looked at things? I'm kind of curious what you're seeing in those dead outs. Star ant granules works great also. I don't really have a big ant problem either. Every now and then I'll get some on the inner cover. All I do for the ants is I sprinkle some ground cinnamon on top of that cover, and that whatever is in cinnamon they don't like, that shoos them away. Got some work to do. Heard that, Troy. Take it easy, man. Give me a shout tomorrow or something. Have a high rate of most due to cutouts, removals, and swarms that just can't build up enough to make it. Oh, okay. So were those, a lot of those losses, were they maybe late splits, late swarms, bees that just didn't build up a good population before winter set in? I'd like to find your channel, just need help, someone clutch my ears. Yeah, man, just holler any questions you got, just jump on the video, ask away. I'll do my best to answer them for you. Glad you came by. Don't be a stranger. Yeah, that cinnamon, man, it's something in that cinnamon. Them ants just, they do not like it. I mean, that cinnamon's even good to use in your house too. And them dang little ants every now and then, once the summer heat rolls in, you'll see a freaking bunch of ants trying to get in your back door, or they get up in you around your sink and stuff. Sprinkle some of that cinnamon around it, they'll be gone. Late cutouts and swarms. Didn't have to do combines. Didn't have time to do combines. Okay. Yep. Yeah, I think I did maybe 3 combines this time. And then I had 1 or 2 others that just straight up went queenless. DC, hey buddy. $13 out of $18. Man. What month do I usually add honey sievers? Usually in May. Really the best thing you can do is to get familiar with your nectar producing plants and trees in your area, which, for me, the pollen producing stuff is what's going to kick in first. Then those bees, they're going to start really throwing some eggs into that colony. That queen's going to be laying like crazy and get the colony built up, and you'll have to just keep an eye on it, make sure they don't swarm. And then usually around May is when the nectar starts trickling in. My biggest nectar producer in my area is the tulip poplar. So usually, like the purple dead nettle, they'll get a lot of early pollen stuff off that, and then dandelion, all kinds of little plants like that. But my biggest ones here is blackberry, black locust, and tulip poplars. That's the main things in my area for spring honey. Man, you guys got me worried about my bees now. I wasn't really expecting you guys to have these kinds of losses. I guess I just read too much info on those commercial guys and was thinking that's a problem that those guys are mainly going to be facing. But which, I mean, you can do everything correct, give your bees the best of everything, and they can still die sometimes. It's not always something the beekeeper did or didn't do. red maple, yeah, that's pretty much my first pollen source here. I'm gonna change it up some this year. I think I'm gonna let my bees build, and I ain't gonna do this to all of them, but I'm gonna do it to at least 10 or 12 hives probably, and just try it out and see how well I can make it work. But I'm gonna get those bees built up into double deeps, and I'll just have to really watch the swarming on those colonies. Whenever I pull that top deep off, I'm going to push all those bees down into a single deep. Then I'll add my queen excluder, and then I'll put probably 2 supers of drawn comb, and then I'll put a medium of just bare foundation, or I might just put 1 super of drawn comb and then a medium of bare foundation on top. That'll give those bees room to somewhere to store the honey, so that they're not plugging up that bottom deep. Worst thing that could happen is they just plug that brood nest up and then automatically kick into swarm mode. Gotta go to work. Yeah. Nice talk. Good night. Stay safe. God bless Orlando. Have a good night. Be safe on the roads. Things might be getting iced up again. Try clipping the wings. Well, I've wanted to try that. The small ones make it past the code, we should be fine. Yeah. Fingers crossed. Those couple nukes I have are a little worrisome to me. And I've got a couple double deeps that's really light on stores. Other than that, from what I've seen, the bees are looking pretty good. That day that we had there last week when it was 65, almost 70 out, every colony I had was busy. So they're, as of now, or well, as of a few days ago, they're all still live. And I was watching because I had one that it had a huge orientation flight going. When I first looked at it, I thought, oh no, I've got a dead out. It's getting robbed because it's so warm and the bees are flying. And I just kept kind of sitting there watching them, and noticed they were bringing in, they had little tiny pollen baskets, like a pale whitish looking pollen, and it could be chicken feed or who knows, what the bees were bringing in. But I knew once I seen that colony wasn't getting robbed, that it's still alive. Yeah, I wonder what that white looking pollen, if it is pollen and it's not chicken feed or bird feed or whatever in the world it is. I'd like to know what that stuff is coming from, what kind of plant. If you clip the wing, they do swarm and usually go to the ground and not high. Yeah. Yeah, I had a buddy of mine had clipped, he tried it for the first time. He clipped the wings on a couple of his queens, and he had a pretty negative effect on that wing clipping. His bees kept trying to supersede the queen. Maybe he done it wrong. I'm not really sure what happened, but they rejected that queen after a few days of him clipping it. Hey, banter legs. Saw your bees and neighbor's bird feeder? Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Alder or hazelnut? Hmm. Are those trees, are they putting pollen out right now? Surely not. Seen a few of the wild hazelnut trees starting. Oh, okay. Maybe, maybe it was. Quit clipping or marking queens in bed, less queenless hives. I'll still mark the queens if I run across it. Um, I try to mark my grafted queens for sure, and I usually mark them pink. I want to keep the queens that I graft separated from the queens that the bees make or queens out of swarm cells, just so I know, and I can kind of tell them apart if they start developing some kind of traits that I want to see or I don't want to see. That way I know, if my grafted queen is, if her colony's pumping out more honey than this queen over here, then that's something that I want to try to know. Low-lying and swampy areas, yeah. Yeah, my yard off over the hill over there has got a creek, runs basically right through it, and it's really, really swampy down there. I had my truck down there hung up the other day, brought it back up to the house, mud on the roof and all over the place. The same way over there at my yard on Black Ridge. It's a low lying area. Luckily it don't flood out like it does down here, but those bees over there, they're always flying before my bees are here at home. So I live up on top of a big hill and I get some pretty brutal wind up here. Say that when the bud starts to open, it puts off some sort of pollen that gets the bees accustomed to coming to the plants. Yeah, that's the thing about them bees. They can probably sense that stuff in the air. Amazing little creatures. Let's see here. Alright, gentlemen. I've been live for almost 2 hours. I believe it's about time for me to call it a night. I do greatly appreciate everybody for hopping in and chatting. Keep the conversation going. Thanks, Rodney. Take it easy, buddy. I'm about to hop off here myself. I've been going for 2 hours almost. Kick back and relax. Night, Banjo Legs. Guys, thanks for dropping in. I'll try to get another one scheduled here next month. I would like to keep doing this every month. Just jump in, one night toward the beginning of the month, beginning of the week, Mondays or Tuesdays or something, and just jump in and chat. I can't wait for spring to get rocking and rolling. That way we can get to talking about what our bees are looking like. We can get in there and get our hands on some frames of bees, frames of honey. That's what I'm waiting for. You guys, I'll hop on maybe next weekend, get some kind of little video made. Well, I can't use my snake camera. I broke it. So I'll have to figure out something on that. But until then, you guys, take care. Y'all have a good night. You gotta get out, travel, be safe on the roads. And we'll catch you guys on the next one. Yeah, DC, take it easy. It's spring's on.